There you go.
It woke up. um, okay. So today we are doing Kufyud tests, and we are doing the letter Yud. Yud is the smallest letter of the alphabet. It's written about it that Olam Haba, the world to come, was created with the letter Yud. Don't know what that means. And we know that Yud is the letter that we use always to represent Hashem's name. So let's look at the 8 psukim that David HaMelech writes with the letters Yud, and the message he gives us with that. So he begins with the words Yodecha, your hands, Asuni vaychananuni. They created me, they made me, and they formed me. Havineni, let me understand. Ve'elmada mitzvaysecha, and I will learn your commandments. So again, as David has done many a times. If we look at the pasuk just in its plain literal form, it doesn't really make any huge amount of sense. Your hands made me and formed me. Let me understand, and I'll learn your commandments. Like, how does it all fit together? What does it actually mean? So, looking at it piece by piece, Yadecha, your hands, talking to Hashem, Asuni ve'yachananuni, made me and formed me. So, almost all of the commentaries that I came across, like immediately jump in on this. So, what does it mean that Hashem made us and formed us? So, at the simplest level, we know that Hashem formed man. He took from the sand of the from Hara Maria, and he shaped it and he blew into it, and so he made our shape and he made our life. That means he made me and he formed me. Some of the commentaries speak exactly like this, and some add more similar thing, but with a little bit more depth. So the Avesta Rabbi Nassan says, Hashem made me with his own 2 hands. In other words, Hashem put a lot of things in the world to work naturally. And so we have a lot of what we like to call nature, that Hashem organized that certain things happen certain ways. So, say, for example, the sun warms us, or, like things are put into place that Hashem made, organized, that they should carry on and creation should continue. But when it came to humans, and says of Rabbi Nassan, also the Beis HaMikdash, Hashem formed them with his own 2 hands, kiviyachol. So that's first, like that level. Going a little bit deeper than that. So the Radak and other commentaries say Hashem formed man in that we have the ability to have wisdom. Um, and some of our commentaries expand on that, and they say man is made differently to all other creations or living creations, in that all other creations walk on 4 feet, and man is made and formed to stand, to walk on 2 feet. So we are the only ones who have our brains up high, like the order of, so all like animals who walk on 2 feet, or like that. Their brain is in line with their hearts, with their other organs. And a man stands on his 2 feet, and his brain is looking up, so to speak, towards heaven. Other commentaries say that what is David HaMelech talking about here? The fact that humans have the ability to speak. Okay, no other creatures really have the power of speech. Some can be taught to say a word here or there, but to think and speak is only man. We don't always use it, but we have this power. So we are physically and spiritually formed by Hashem. And this is what David is saying. He's saying, Yadecha asuni v'chananuni, your hands made me and formed me. That means that it's talking about our physical, the way we physically made. Hashem made us, and he made each part of us specifically able to do something of the Torah. So there's no part of the Torah that we could say, oh, if I was able to climb high, if I was able to walk standing, if I was able to express that, I would be able to do that mitzvah. We are the way that human beings were formed was with the ability to do every single mitzvah. So um, if we have the physical ability to do every mitzvah, then, so explains Chazal, we also have the spiritual ability to do the mirror of that physical ability. And the two examples that Chazal bring over here, but we could add any of our own. So it says, for example, hearing. We have the ability, a physical ability to hear what Hashem tells us to do. And so we have the spiritual kayach to listen. And listen doesn't just mean hearing, okay, because what happens if we can't hear? But listening also means, or hearing, it means to process what's being said, what's being expected of us, how we're supposed to listen spiritually as well as physically. The other example that Chazal bring for us is digestion. Our bodies work a very complicated digestive system, and we start by putting food in our mouths, and we end this process by going to the toilet. And so say Chazal that we have the same ability when it comes to spiritual things, that we can ingest a lot of stuff, we can take the good from it, and we also have the power and the ability to get rid of the waste, to get rid of whatever it is that we don't need. And so Chazal goes through all the different ways that Hashem formed us, and by forming us this way, we now have a whole lot of kochos, a whole lot of abilities and capabilities to be able to do all these spiritual things. And says David HaMelech, if that's the case, Havineni, give me the understanding, that I can learn your mitzvahs. So that's how he begins with the letter Yud. He goes on to the next pasuk Ayin Dalad 74, and he says, Yere'echa yiruni v'yismachu. Those who fear you will see me and be happy. Ki lidvarcha yichalti, because I put hope in all of your words. So let's understand what David is saying here. He says Yire'echa, those who fear you, and he means more those who revere you, or those who look at you in awe. When they see me, vismachu, they'll be happy. So what does this mean? So David HaMelech often says he got such a lot of good from Hashem. Hashem was so kind to him. Hashem gave him so much good. Hashem did amazing things for him. And anyone who sees that is going to be happy. That's at a very simple level. We obviously want something deeper than that, because at a simple level, David didn't always have everything that seemed so good. But the commentaries explain to us that when a king is going on the good and like the straight path, the Yismachu, all the people around are also happy. And not only are they happy, but they'll try and copy the king and do things good as well. When a king is not on the straight and narrow, he's not doing that which he's supposed to be doing, then what happens is that the people will not learn from him, and they won't be happy. Sorry. Okay. And he explains this. He says that a good leader, a good king, is someone who can take his learning, take his Torah observance, take his way of life, and he can make it relatable to the people. And a leader who can't do that is not considered a good leader. In fact, Chazal go into a lot of discussion over here about the difference between David HaMelech and Shaul HaMelech. Shaul HaMelech, we have this like funny notion in somewhere in the back of our heads that he wasn't a good leader, that he wasn't a good person. We struggle with Shaul. Shaul was a really great tzaddik. He was a great leader, if we could say that. But his leadership was the problem. He was a great personality. He wasn't a good leader. And what is this? He wasn't able to take his learning, take his behavior, and bring it down to a level that people could be inspired or motivated. And that was the problem with Shaul, and that's why we have this feeling that he wasn't such a good king. David HaMelech, on the other hand, was also learned and good and tzaddik and everything, and he had the ability, was given the koyach to be able to draw down that which he did, his way of life, make it relatable to people. And so David is considered the great king, the biggest king. And the Mephoshim point out to us that we're all leaders. We are leaders, whether it's official that we're leaders, or we're just the leader in our own home, or in our classroom, or in our community, or among our friends, and sometimes even just for ourselves. But we all are leaders. And the way we become a good leader is by making what we're doing, our Torah and mitzvahs, relatable. And as long as it's not relatable, we're not good leaders. So we are responsible to take Torah and make it relevant in our lives. And David says this. He says, "Ki lidvarecha yichaltu." I put hope into your words, because when the people around saw what I do and how I live, but they always saw that there was hope. Whether it was all great and amazing, or it was hard and difficult, as David had many of those days, he always made it relatable. He always made people see hope. He always made people see how David trusted Hashem. I trusted you. I put hope into everything that happened. And okay, so the big thing with David HaMelech is that even when things didn't go smoothly and easily, David was always saying thank you to Hashem. He was always showing Hashem like he was okay. He knew that Hashem is going to help him, and it wasn't false belief, as we'll see in the next pasuk. He says, "Yadaiti, I knew Hashem, ki tzedek mishpatecha, that your judgments are fair." Ve'emuna inisani, and that you gave me challenges, you gave me suffering, correctly, justifiably. So simple level. David HaMelech says, even when I was made to suffer, I had emunah, I had faith that you, Hashem, knew what you were doing and why you did it. And he's saying, the Mephoshim explained to us that he is saying that even when things were really rough, he believed that Hashem knew what he was doing and why he was doing it, even if he himself didn't. And the most telling example of this is when David HaMelech was running away from Avshalom. So Avshalom was his own son who overthrew him, and David had to run away from Yerushalayim. It says that at that point he didn't even have shoes, and there he's like, to his own son, he's lost everything. And what does he do there? The Navi explains that he went to the Mount Har HaZeisim, and he's weeping. He's really sad about what happened, and he starts composing Mizmor Torah. Thank you, Hashem. I trust that whatever you did, you did. And there the Navi explains, says, like, picture David HaMelech running away from this. The Navi explains that David HaMelech was wrapped in a blanket and he didn't have shoes on, and he put a cover over his face so people shouldn't see who he is. And there he is saying, "Thank you, Hashem. I believe, I trust that whatever you did, you had real reason for it." It's not to say that he was happy about it. He's really sad. He's weeping, but he trusts that this is what Hashem wants for him right now, and that's what he's getting right now. Um, the commentaries explain that this is the same as the bracha of Baruch Dayan Emes. God forbid, Rahman Islam, when a person loses a direct family member, we make the bracha of Baruch Dayan Emes. Which how do we translate that? Blessed are you, who is a faithful judge. Okay, exactly the same as this pasuk. Ve'emuna inisani. I always, my husband says it's a lone battle, but I hate it when people say Baruch Dayan Emes for other people. Like it's only we can say Baruch Dayan Emes. I don't understand what you're doing, Hashem, but I accept it. How can we accept it for other people? But it's just become a method, a response when we hear bad news. But really, Baruch Dayan Emes is us saying exactly what David HaMelech said over there. Hashem, I don't understand. I don't feel happy, but I trust you absolutely, Hashem, that there's reason for what you just did. And he continues, and sorry, kitzedek mishpatecha, that your mishpatim, your justice, is righteous. That doing so. That's again the simplest level of understanding the concept of kitzedek mishpatecha, that your the laws, the rules that you're carrying out at tzedek are righteous. Looking at this slightly deeper than that, so there's different kinds of mitzvahs. There are mitzvahs that we understand. So, for example, giving somebody poor money, we understand that. It makes sense to us that a poor person needs money. And then there's those mitzvahs which we don't understand, that don't make any sense to us at all. They are called chukim, statutes. And David HaMelech is saying over here, Yadaiti, I know Hashem, ki tzedek mishpatecha, that the mishpatim, the laws that I think I understand, are tzedek, are righteous. And that seems obvious. Of course we think it's right to give a poor person tzedakah or whatever. But he continues and he says, ve'emunah, but I do this with my emunah, with my belief. So if we would keep mitzvahs only because we understood them, there would be a whole lot of mitzvahs we wouldn't keep, right? I don't understand that. Well, I don't need that. I remember someone telling me about mitzvahs. She said to me, I only keep the mitzvahs I understand. Well, okay, good for you. Okay, if we only keep the mitzvahs we understand, we have a much simpler job. Okay, we have we however clever we are, we still have small brains, and we understand even the things we think we understand, we don't really understand. So it can make our observance of mitzvahs very minimal if we only do what we understand. And David HaMelech is expressing over here, Chazal, and Chazal tell us that this is the ultimate of what we're supposed to be doing. Even when there's a mitzvah that we understand, we should do it only because Hashem told us to. Imagine reaching that level. We're not doing this mitzvah because we understand it. We're doing this mitzvah because Hashem told us to do. That is the greatest, the ultimate that we are looking for. And also to keep in mind all the time that just because I understand it today doesn't mean that I'll understand it tomorrow. Circumstances change, and things that made me understand a mitzvah today might not make me understand the mitzvah tomorrow. And so, kitzedek mishpatecha, even the things I understand, that I think I understand, I also know that they are tzedek, they're righteous, and the reason I do it is because they are righteous. And I do it ve'emunah, I do it with my emunah. Also, Chazal tell us that these words are emunah inisani, and it's through faith that you have afflicted me, that you've given me troubles. David HaMelech is saying over here, I accept that I deserve whatever you do to me. This is again very high madrega, and we're not actually all expected um, to reach that. Um, the hardest question people ask, like, I try to be good, I try to do what Hashem wants, and then this is what happened. David HaMelech never said that. He says, "Ve'emuna inisani." I believe that I'm not perfect, and if Hashem decided to give me that challenge, he gave it to me, even though I don't understand or like it or want it or whatever it is. That's a very high madrega. But then he continues and he shows us what a difficult thing he's placing on us. He says, "Hina chastochal nachameni." Please now, Hashem, with your kindness, comfort me. Ke'im rascha la'avdecha, just as you promised your servant. And so David HaMelech says that no matter how hard life is, no matter how many challenges we are faced with, we can turn to Hashem and ask Him to comfort us. Be nice to us, comfort us. You promised us, and the commentaries tell us that we are promised. That Hashem promised us. He said to us, "I'll be good to you. I'll save you from this. I'll give you comfort." Right? He's promised us all those things. We often like to say, again, it's one of the things that needs much bringing. Like Hashem doesn't give you anything that you can't handle, because sometimes I think He does. But he, this comment over here, David HaMelech is saying, "You have so much kindness, Hashem. Comfort me when you're giving me hardships, when you're giving me challenges. Be kind enough to comfort me. Be merciful to me. Bring your mercy to me, and I'll live. Because I'm busy with your Torah all day." So it says that there's two things that might cut the life or shorten the life of a leader. The one is the actual leadership, that so much it comes with so much aggravation, so much difficulties, that many leaders, like, it actually cuts their life short physically. And the second thing that you might be surprised to hear, study of Torah, it says that studying Torah really properly makes a person weak. They are exhausted and weakened from intense Torah study. So David HaMelech says there are two things here. I'm a leader, and I spend any spare moment with Torah. So I'm asking you now, Hashem, have mercy on me. So that I live despite these two things. He continues and he says, "Yevoshe Zaydim Kishekeriv Sunni." May the wicked be embarrassed that they've spread lies about me, and yasiach b'fikudecha, that I'll keep on talking about your things, Hashem. So just at a practical level, people never let up. At any opportunity, people spoke about the bad that David HaMelech did, particularly their opinions about whether he was really bad when it came to the story with Bathsheba. And David HaMelech says, like, Kisheker is Sunni. They are spreading lies about me, they're defaming me. I think last week we did quite a bit on that concept. And he says, Hashem, please let them be embarrassed about it. A deeper explanation, one which we can all relate to. We also have Zaydim. We also have wicked who try and spread harm to us. In other words, we all have a Yetzer Tov, which tells us to good, and we all have a Yetzer Hara, which tries to convince us to do bad. And then the thing that really bothers us about the Yetzer Hara is that it goes and tells on us. Okay, the Yetzer Hara is also the accuser. Say this in our davening, Hashkatega, be quiet, accuser. Okay, who's this accuser who came and convinced us to do something wrong, and then says to God, punish her. This is what she did. This is what she did. That's really horrible. And David HaMelech says, Yevoshu Zaydim, let these Zaydim, let these Yetzaharas, the evil inclination in me, let it be embarrassed. How does the Yetzirah get embarrassed? When we don't listen to him. But he says, Kishaker Iv Sunni, it's the Yetzirah that makes me do any of these sheker, any of these lies. Chazal tell us, which relates to the next part of the pasuk. Ani asiach b'kudecha, I talk always in your things, in your concepts. Um, that anyone who looked at David HaMelech directly, any such person could see holiness in his face, could actually see the holiness, the greatness of him, and any Torah that they had learned and forgotten came back to them just by looking at David HaMelech. And this is because he was so holy, and we all know that if you see somebody very holy, it's obvious to you. You can see holiness shining from them. Um, and one of the things of how David HaMelech kept up this holy face, this holy energy that came from him, is that he was always talking Torah. If David HaMelech was busy even with other things, his lips moved and he spoke Torah. We have similar idea in the Torah when it speaks about Yosef, and it says that Potiphar realized that Yosef was greater than just some ordinary slave that he had bought. And Rashi comments over there, Kishem Shamayim Shagor B'fiv, his that Hashem's name was always in his mouth. Again, and in fact, at one time Potiphar accused him of being involved with black magic because he always saw his lips moving and he thought he was casting spells until he realized that Yosef was calling on Hashem to help him while he was there in Egypt the whole time. We have a similar sort of thing that the Rebbe instructed us many years ago to learn psukim by heart. And the Rebbe said that you need to learn psukim by heart so that when you're out in the street, when you whatever, you can call up that Torah and say it from memory. Why? So that we create our own holy energy, our own spiritual energy around each of us, no matter who we are. Um, he continues, David HaMelech, and he says, Yashuvu li yireyecha, let those who fear you, revere you, return to me, v'yodei edosecha, and those who know your practices, your things. And so Chazal tell us that this at a very practical level. David HaMelech had leprosy for 6 months, and for 6 months he was completely solitary. He didn't have people around him. It says even the Shekhinah removed itself from him. So he had a very miserable 6 months. And this was his prayer. He said, Yashuvu li yireyecha. Let those who fear you come back to me. So obviously he's making a prayer that the Shekhinah should return to him. He should be back in that state. But deeper than that, it says that he was asking for two things that he can't handle. Like solitary, being on your own is terrible, but listen to David HaMelech, what's terrible for him? The one thing that he cannot daven with a minyan, because these people won't come near him. And the other thing that he can't learn with anybody, because we know that learning with someone is far greater than learning on your own. And so he says, Yashuhuli, let those people, the people who I used to daven with and the people who I used to learn with, let them return to me. And let them appreciate, let them know and appreciate the way you want your world to run. And the last pasuk that he says in the letter Yud, he says, Yehi libi samim b'chukecha. Let my heart be sincere with all your laws, lema'an lo yevosh, so that I'm never ashamed. And tamim is one of the very high levels that we all achieve to reach some time. Okay, it's that we should be wholehearted, that we should be sincere, that we should walk with Hashem in honesty, in tamim, in wholeheartedness. And he says, "Let me walk wholeheartedly with you, b'chukecha, with the chukim, which represent the service of Hashem that's difficult for us, that we really, really don't understand, that we don't know what it is. Let me be sincere with that also. Let me keep Torah mitzvahs not because I think it's going to be good for me, but because Tamim, I'm sincere and I want to do what you Hashem want from me, so that I should never be ashamed. What we really could bring for a long time is what is this concept of tamim, of being wholeheartedly pure, sincere, good, decent, whichever words you want to put there. And that's David's wish at the end of all of this. He says, Hashem, let me be a tamim, pure. We have by tradition that anybody who goes, any man who studies in Yeshivas Tamchei Tamimim, they refer to themselves afterwards as a Tamim. And so my little grandson started school in Yeshivas Tamchei Tamimim, and he told me, he said, Baba, from today, I'm a Tamim. So, Amen. May you be. And that's where we're going up to today.
Thank you, Rifki.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. Rifki.
Thank you.
Just take care and have a good Shabbos.
And you, a good job.
Thanks, Rifki. Enjoy your tummy.
Bye.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, Rick.